Hey, Sunday, June 18th, 2023. On my way to the gym. It's been a while since I think I put up a video, a couple days maybe. So, what do I want to talk about today? I had a lot of things on my mind and probably start a few different series. A lot of people are asking asking me how do you, find and marry a decent Ukrainian girl? Got a couple of those questions here and there, but I'll do another series on that. I don't want to get into this thing of being anyone's coach. Generally, my advice is you gotta find these things inside yourself. A lot of these things start with a lot of inward reflection on what you want to be, how you want people to perceive you. Like Stephen Covey had an exercise like imagine your funeral and what people would be talking about you. Something like that. Maybe not so morbid, but anyway, that's another topic. What I want to talk about today is, I've given a lot of thought to this, is this Russian infiltration of American society and, American media. It's been going on, like I've said in other videos, for a long time. This is how Reagan got his notoriety in Hollywood. It was part of, working with Senator McCarthy to root out all the communists and Russians in Hollywood that were influencing our media. And even way before then, I think even during the time of the Revolutionary War, there were even Russian elements influencing our society or, siding with, opposing sides to the U.S. I think in the French-Indian War or something, there were some Russian elements in there. So, how does it work? What are they after? Well, Russia, China, all these countries want to see America fall, but they know they cannot beat us on a frontal assault. So they have to they have to create division in the country, right? Divide and conquer. So how do you divide up a country? So you have different groups of people, right? You have people in the middle that are moderate, that are able to compromise and find a way forward, believe the greater good is better than their personal interests. And then you have extremes on both ends that want to, totally uproot the system. So in America, on the right wing side, you have these hardcore white nationalist Republicans. Not all Republicans are white nationalists. We have black Republicans, but there is hard right elements for sure. And then you have these people still flying the Confederate flag. They don't realize that the war was ended well over 130 years ago. 104. It was 1865, 1965, and now we're in 2023. Yeah, that puts almost 170 years or something. It's a long time. It's been a long time since we had the Civil War, and nobody from the Civil War is still alive, to this day. So. But there's people on the right side romanticizing about, the good old days, in America, when we were living only 35, 40 years and, food companies weren't accountable and they were selling canned meat to us. They were telling us it's canned beef, but it was really just scraps they pulled from the drain. Read a book by Upton Sinclair called The Jungle, and it'll kind of, even if you're the hardest right-wing Republican, you'll understand why we have regulations today. Because if you let a corporation run loose without any controls, that's what you're going to get. It's pretty gross, but we had to read that book in high school in America. Upton Sinclair, The Jungle. It was required reading in, I think, 10th or 11th grade. So that's on the right side, right? So you have all these people that, they're very intolerant, they hate everybody, they want to, America to be withdrawn from the world, and go back to frontier living. They want to use the roads but not pay for it. They want the police to come when someone breaks in their house, but they don't want to pay for the cops. They don't want to have a government. Everyone should have a whole lot of guns. And I'm not a fan of gun control, but I'm not a fan of having 80 weapons in your house either, so anyway, that's the one extreme, and the Russians are funding them. Look at Ron Paul, Tucker Carlson, Zero Hedge. All this is like, getting funding from Russia one way or another. And what we've seen through the Wagner Group in Russia is that they're an expert at setting up corporations, and shell companies. And those shell companies can act in a country. They can set up a Delaware LLC, and those companies can get a U.S. bank account, and they can make transactions, make donations, set up marketing agreements, all sorts of things. You see all these kind of YouTubers. There's like another guy, Anomaly. He's like some young guy, and he's doing all this like right-wing stuff, like Tulsi Gabbard. Like all this, like America has no business being on the world stage and being the world policeman and stuff. So where do they get their money? Because I don't think any normal self-respecting American is going to donate to them. So there's like a lot of like these companies, just like Wagner style companies, and even they have like American sounding names like this Wagner Group. I mean, last I checked, Wagner's not a Russian surname. Wagner is a quite European, German American name. Wagner, then becomes Wagner, in America. So they're really trying to hide themselves. And so that's on the right side. The Russians are funding these people. And, with their funding, they can make a lot of trouble. They can organize things, and then they can, run their own ads and recruit people and brainwash people. Because, we've weakened our government, we've weakened our education system. So these people are exploiting that hole. And, trying to pull America to this, back to this, manifest destiny country where we were sea to signing sea and still a frontier country and we're minding our own business, as they would say, and not the superpower. So that's what these people want to see. And then, on the other side, you have like this, Black Lives Matter, and you have Antifa and all of this, these people on the left side. You have, the Edward Snowden types, who want to break everything, on the other way, that America did all this injustice to people, and it doesn't deserve to exist because they did this, and it happened in the past, and it didn't happen to any of these people directly. Most of these people who are professing this stuff, they're quite well off, like Colin Kaepernick, $30 million NFL contract, and adopted by rich white people. They gave him a much better life than he would have gotten with his natural parents and stuff, and so these people also get a lot of funding, I would imagine, from the Russians as well, like the squad in Congress, to make people feel bad, because that's the other side of this. It's like, okay, so you have one side, they're proud to be American, but they don't want America involved in the world, and they don't want America to do anything. And the other side wants America involved in the world, but doesn't want people to feel proud about their country. They want to take away the culture and national pride in our history and rewrite everything that we were so oppressive. So America just becomes like some shopping center with weapons, and that becomes easily manipulated when people lose their why and their sense of purpose. So on the left side, you have this side of the spectrum that's like wants to turn people against their own country, and so when the left and the right side extremes meet together, it creates, obviously, there's a big differential, right? It's like water, like, why does water move? This is a question I got when I joined the Navy in the job interviews, is, to be an engineer in the Navy, when I started my Navy career. It's like, how does water move through a pipe? And actually, I couldn't figure that out, even though it was so obvious. It was such an easy question, I couldn't figure it out. It's delta P, differential in pressure. Like one side is high pressure, other side is low pressure, and the water moves from high pressure to low pressure. And that's how water flows through a pipe. So you have a big push on one side, and all the other questions I got, luckily, the hard ones, but I didn't get this easy one. But so when you have like one side is extreme anti-American, the other side is like this pro-American, but in the wrong era, and they clash, you get this huge differential in pressure, and that creates a lot of friction and a lot of problems in the country, and a lot of people at each other's throats. or they can't compromise. And then, you have the moderates like myself in the middle who see all this, that say this just doesn't make sense. My Republican side still wants national health care, wants taxes on the extremely wealthy, wants teachers to be well paid so we can attract like Harvard grads into education and they could teach the kids about American history and American culture. And yeah, we had a bad past, but we've continuously improved. They could teach some of this project management stuff. And then the Democrat side of me wants to see more patriotic Democrats like JFK, or like Bill Clinton even wanted the wall with Mexico. Even if we could get Democrats back to the Bill Clinton level, and then the moderate side of me says too that presidents, Democrat or Republican, if they're having affairs and stuff, that's none of our business. If Bill Clinton was doing this stuff with Monica Lewinsky, I was really mad at Republicans. That was a big waste of resources. And I'm really mad at Democrats for this one-sided thing that they're doing to Trump, with the documents. I did a lot of reading on this. Every president had boxes of documents. Now, I don't know why anyone would want to keep all that shit. It's boring and it just gets you in trouble. I was in the Navy, and I even though I had went to all this like classified training, and I think I was a security officer training I took at Norfolk, Virginia, actually at NCIS. I went to a course over there. I didn't want to be anywhere near it because it's just nitpicky paperwork. You got to fill in all this paperwork to get the paperwork, and then you got to fill in a lot of paperwork to give back the paperwork. Like, who wants to do that? You join the Navy because you want to like be outside and command people and lead people. I shouldn't say command people, but lead people and watch people grow in their careers and be a mentor and learn from people smarter than yourself. But you end up doing a lot of paperwork, especially if you're an officer. You end up becoming a master of paperwork. But anyway, that's a sidetrack. But yeah, this is what's happening. This is how the Russians are infiltrating America. They're going on both extremes, and they're trying to create this big divide and trying to lead us into a civil war. And this is where Trump should shut up about creating all these uprisings and stuff. Instead, he should just propose better solutions that would want to make people vote for any Republican, like some better way to do health care and some better way to do education. Not like cut education, give everyone vouchers for private school. I'm talking about having a public system, so that way 52% of the country, when they vote, they're voting fully informed and have an awareness of our country and our history. Not what we got now, where 10% of the top 10% all go to private schools, and then the rest of the 90% are starved out. 10% go to private schools or very highly funded public schools, in like rich suburbs, which are more or less the same thing, because you got to pay a lot of money to live in that suburb to get into that school district, and come up with a different system so that way anyone anywhere in the country gets a good education, and they also understand our values as Americans and understand we're less than perfect, but we're always improving. We should still be proud of our country, like our family. All families are less than perfect, but they're always working to get better. Some more than others, I would imagine, but it's like that. So the moderates, we've gotten drowned out because Russians don't fund us. Russians don't fund what would make America strong. And then you got like extremes that don't, one side believes America should be like it was 200 years ago, and then the other side believes it shouldn't exist, and we should just go around and apologize and open our borders and give all our money away. And then voila, guess who steps in? Whether you do either extreme. Either, you isolate yourself and then you get surrounded and conquered, or you just dissolve and then they step in. So either way works for them. Russians don't have a side. They take both sides and play them against each other. And that's what we're living through right now. They're very skilled at propaganda, very skilled at infiltration and everything else. I'll tell you, I met a lot of Russians in my life who spoke with perfect American accents, but believe me, what was all inside, and what was inside of them was nothing good. Nothing about, human rights or self-expression or creativity. they've had to copy everything we do. They're like a cargo cult. There's very little technology that originates from Russia. Everything is like a copy or a hack of something from the West. I mean, even their space program was done by German scientists. They had to rip off all these German scientists and everything, you know, and all their advancements were because they had very good intelligence to steal our secrets and reverse engineer them in a very poor way. We're seeing in Ukraine that all of the Russian engineering was very highly overrated. You know, they just can stamp out everything look like the picture, and they think if it looks like the picture, it'll perform like the picture. Well, technology don't work that way. There's a lot of stuff you can't see in tech that makes it all happen. But anyway, as you can see, it's raining today. But rain or shine, snow, hell over high water. I always get myself to the gym 3 days a week. You know, I should probably be going more. It's fun. I always feel good afterwards. So anyway, everyone take care. You know, remember, you know, America has to be both like very patriotic, but you know, we're now in the 21st century, and we got to be like a proper nation that supports all its citizens and creates a way for people to you know, support themselves. And there's people that have bad luck sometimes, and they need state support. Because if you don't support them, then they all become communists, right? So there has to be like a welfare system in place, like Bill Clinton had proposed, actually, that gets people back to work. It's not something that they can stay on for the rest of their life unless they have like 8 kids or something. And then they should focus on growing those 8 kids up, right, so they don't end up in jail. You know, but other than that, they get job training, or they do some like, you know, stupid work around town, like cleaning the streets or something like that. I don't know. They got to do something. They got to do something. That was like Bill Clinton, actually. That was very Republican of him. My father used to say that Bill Clinton was actually a Republican disguised as a Democrat, you know, and everything. But those were the good old days when, you know, there wasn't much difference between Clinton and Bush, you know, and these guys. They all were, you know, on the same page that America had to be first, foremost, front and center, and, you know, be a superpower. And then we had to start creating a system to take care of the people and do something about. None of them have talked about obesity, but that'll be another. I've always talked about, like, that's another way we've been infiltrated. Maybe that'll be the next video I do, is talk about how Russians and even Germans after World War II infiltrated American society through the processed food industry. You know, they knew they couldn't beat us, but if they made us all fat and stupid, then we would never be able to field an army, and then we'd also become easier to defeat. So it's also through the financial sector, you know, what kind of industries are being invested into and who's behind these investments. I mean, processed food should have never been what it was today. It should be a luxury that you eat rarely, not a staple in our everyday living. But that's, like I said, that's another topic. There was a very interesting discussion about how investments were coming from Argentina after the war into processed food, you know, to you know, get that, make that abundant in America and make us all sick. But anyway, take care. I'm at the gym.